Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Kelvin here. I bet this was your reaction when you took a look at your portfolio this week. What the heck? Why so one? It was caused by a company called Evergrande. No. That one is Evergiven. That one got stuck in the Suez Canal, but now it's unstuck already. It is this Evergrande, and it's going to go bankrupt soon. The scary thing is, this situation will affect financial systems all around the world, stock markets, and possibly even you. So, in this video, I will tell you everything you need to know. What is Evergrande? Why is it going to go bankrupt soon? What are the implications and what you can do about it? But before I start, I would greatly appreciate it if you can help to tap the like button. In return, I will show you a simplified visualization of what's happening to Evergrande. Alright, let's start right now. First of all, what is Evergrande? So, Evergrande, or Hengda Jituan, is China's second largest property developer. It owns more than 1,300 projects in more than 280 cities in China. But wait, there's more. It also has business in electric vehicles, streaming service, a theme park, mineral water, and even a soccer club. They have over 200,000 employees globally. So obviously, they are sibei big. So big until its assets is 2% of China's GDP. But then, why is it going to go bankrupt, causing its stock price to drop by over 90% in just a few years? Let's start from the beginning. Over the past few years, real estate is super hot in China. Property prices have been going up. Developers have been building properties like nobody's business. It was estimated that China was building 15 million new homes every year, more than 5 times of America and Europe combined. Home buyers have been buying up properties in hopes to quote big. They'd be like, got property ah? Buy ah! But the truth is, not everyone is staying in those properties. In the end, China ends up with 22% vacancy rate. In comparison, other countries like Taiwan and US has only 12 to 14% vacancy rate. It's like in StarCraft, you heard,
you must construct additional pylons.
Then you just keep building and building until you end up with too many pylons, which ends up sitting there doing nothing like a lazy bum. That's what's happening in China properties right now. Then what does this have to do with Evergrande? Basically, to put it short, they went full 8 mode, like the people from Wall Street bet. See, when property price is going to the moon, as a property developer, what do? Yup, that's right, you build more properties because stonks. But the thing is, you need money to build more properties. If you check out their balance sheet, Evergrande has only 120 million to 160 million cash in the bank over the past few years. And guess what apes do when they don't have enough cash? Yup, they unlock the holy grail, margin. Or in the case of Evergrande, debts. That's what Evergrande did. They borrow money from banks, issue bonds, ask property buyers to pay upfront cash, then use these debts to build even more properties. Because why not? From 2014 to 2021, their total debt went from below 0.5 trillion yuan all the way to 2 trillion yuan, or 300 billion USD. Meanwhile, their revenue has been increasing, but after deducting all the costs, their net income was basically flat. Ho number 1 for Evergrande. Also, China housing has been slowing down since 2019. Ho number 2 for Evergrande. Then, in 2020, China added new rules to limit the amount of debt that property developers can take. This forced Evergrande to sell its properties at major discounts to make sure they have enough money. Ho number 3 for Evergrande. On top of that, the pandemic in 2020 happened. Supply chains were disrupted and material costs went up. Ho number 4 for Evergrande. All this meant that Evergrande has lesser and lesser cash to use, while its debt kept snowballing. It currently owes money to 171 domestic banks, 121 other financial firms, suppliers, as well as apartment buyers. It's like, I owe you money, I owe everyone money. And last week, banks were told that Evergrande won't be able to pay the interest next week, which is this week. Of course, Evergrande knows that it is in a lot of trouble. Since 2017, it has promised to reduce its debt from 240% to 70% in June 2020. But if you check the financials, you will see that in June 2021, its net gearing is still super high at 100%. Over the past few months, it has tried to raise more capitals to pay back their debt, like selling off the assets and issuing more shares. But it wasn't working because the debt was just too big. And with the next interest due date coming out, it offered to pay its debt using apartments, shops, parking space, and even unfinished projects. Evergrande even got so desperate that they told employees to lend them money, otherwise they won't have bonuses this year. I don't know about you, but when your boss asks you to lend him money, I think it's a good time to find a new job. So now you know what's happening to Evergrande. Here's a few scenarios that could happen. First, the Chinese government could come in and save Evergrande. There are quite a few similarities between the Evergrande situation and the 2008 financial crisis. In 2008, the banks were lending out bad debts like nobody's business. And when the housing bubble popped, the government had to step in to save the banks. Now, people were expecting China to save Evergrande because it's the second largest property developer in the country. But judging from how strict China is, I wouldn't expect China to save the company. It'd be like, see lah, you play with fire, now you burn your hand. Second scenario, Evergrande could try to save itself, ask for more donations from its employees, raise more capital from the stock market, delay its loan repayment. But I think this is very unlikely because if it could do so, it would have done it already. That brings us to the last scenario. Evergrande goes bankrupt. I think this is the likeliest scenario. Now, of course, I don't expect it to go bankrupt and disappear into the sunset just like that. China's biggest property developer, Country Garden or 碧桂园, might buy some of Evergrande's management unit at a huge discount. Think of it like those closing down sale, everything must go, that you always see at value dollars. But as to how it will unfold, we will just have to wait and see. Then you might ask, yala, but how will this affect us? Basically, it doesn't affect us directly, but it will affect the stock market, which will affect us. Because no one knows what will happen and they are scared. And when they are scared, they will paper hands and sell. Just like what happened on Monday, where everything is super red, like it's dressed up ang for Chinese New Year. But that's not the only fear that the market has. Morgan Stanley warned that the market might crash 20% soon. S&P 500 is super overvalued now. Michael Burry also re-enabled his Twitter to warn everyone that a crash might come. Meanwhile, the pandemic has a new variant, and daily cases seem like it's going back to all-time high. With all this right now, the fear and greed index shows that everyone is scared. So, with a possible market crash coming soon, what should you do? Should you paper hands, sell first, and buy the dip? Let me show you some data first, because science. First, it has been found that in a market crash, there's an average of 13.7% decline over 4 months, and usually the market recovers within 4 months. So, unless there's some big world-ending event like alien appearing or World War III or multiverse happening, like
Hello, Peter.
Personally, I would only expect to see a 13% average drop if a crash ever happens. Second, it has been found that time in the market beats timing the market. If you try to time the market wrongly and miss the 10 best days, your returns will drop by more than half. You will miss the ride to the moon and be like, "Aiya, I wish I didn't pull out." Pulling out is not always the solution. Third, analysts always be like, crash, market crash, but they are not always right. Like, a Reddit user went to analyze Michael Burry's prediction, and he found that Michael Burry almost always got it wrong. Like in 2017, he expected a global financial meltdown, but the year-to-date return is 93%. If you listen to his warnings, you'll still be a poor boy now. So, a market crash could possibly come, but maybe also won't come. Even if it comes, you might time it wrongly and will miss out on a lot of gains. What should you do? Well, the answer is super simple. Dollar cost average law. Market goes up, you buy a bit. Market goes down, you cry a bit, then you buy more. The logic is very simple. You won't time the market wrongly if you don't time the market. Perfect timing will beat dollar cost average, but unless you are hardcore, you will never time the market perfectly. So I will just stick to dollar cost average and keep buying no matter what. Right now, this Evergrande thing might seem like a very big issue, like wow, crash 来了啊. But trust me, few years later, you will look back and be like, "Che, small issue nya." This has happened in the past and will happen in the future. Just be a man or woman, do the right thing and get used to this volatility. Over the long term, the S&P 500 has always gone up, and I won't expect this time to be any different. Anyway, those were my thoughts on the Evergrande situation. What's your plan? Would you hold or would you sell? Let me know down below. Like, share and subscribe as I'll be posting new videos every Monday, Wednesday and Friday.